Hello, Kate.
Richard, hi.
Nice to see you. Hi, I'm Richard, and Paul's here as well.
Hiya.
Hello, Paul. Hi.
And I've got my friend FR in the corner. You might see that. That's my automated note taker. So if you don't mind, it will just take notes of the meeting. So that's all that's
Great.
doing there. Great to meet you.
Lovely to
Hi.
meet you too. Hi.
And we're excited to work with you on the training.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. It's always great. The people who PRCA recommend are always brilliant.
I hope we live up to expectations.
Yeah, that's a high bar to start us off with. So, what? Excuse me, I'm just getting over a nasty bug. What we'd like to do is make sure that we give you as much value as possible for the time that we spend with you and the team. So we wanted to learn all about your objectives, what the training's for, what you want to get out of it, who's in the group of people that will be being trained, et cetera, so that we can shape the session as much to your needs rather than what we think you might want. Before we do that, would it be useful for you? Do you want us to tell you a bit about ourselves, or do you?
Yes, yeah, I literally have a name from Suha. So
Okay.
yeah, it'd be great to know about you guys as well, and then I can do the big spiel about my team.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, well, I'll start. I've got the mic. I'm Richard. So I'm Richard Bagnall. I uh, began my career in PR actually. So I'm an ex PR practitioner. But about 30 years ago, I went poacher to gamekeeper and moved into the world of comms evaluation. Um, that's how I met Paul. Paul and I have worked together for pretty much 30 years. Um, we started one of the first PR measurement businesses, which, depending on your age, obviously you're 21, but you may remember it was called Metrica. We sold it. That was in the mid 90s. We sold it at the end of the noughties in 2009 to a private equity firm that already owned Durrance. You may remember Durrance. It was a media monitoring business. And Durrance and us came together and we acquired Gorkana and we created the Gorkana Group. So we then ran Gorkana's comms evaluation globally for sort of 4 or 5 years. Gorkana was sold, is now with Incision. I left at that point and went to Prime Research in Oxford, so opposite the Head of the River pub. Prime Research was the UK's best kept secret in the comms evaluation space, and my job was to help them grow and to help the owner shape the business for he wanted to sell it as well. So after about 4 years, he sold it to Cision too, and I left again. Then worked at a business called Karma, which was it's actually the original evaluation business in the whole space, but was failing in Europe, and the owner brought me and Paul in to turn it round, which we did over 6 years, culminated in winning Company of the Year at the AMEC Awards and all that stuff, and then we both left about 6 months ago and set up CommsClarity Consulting. And CommsClarity, our business together, is a consultancy that helps in-house teams and PR agencies improve their measurement. There's too much focus on tools and charts that look like they're counting stuff that's meaningful, and an inability for people to thread together the data points to tell meaningful measurement stories and demonstrate the value of their work and get proper insights. There's a lot of jaw about it, but not much proper implementation. So that's what we do. And one of the things we do is we work with the PRCA and we do training on measurement and evaluation as well. In fact, our last client doing this for was just up the road from you again, Thames Valley Police. So we did 2 days with them in what's it called? Beginning with a K, that little bit just outside
Kidlington.
Kidlington.
Yes.
So yeah, I had a good couple of days with their teams there. So yes, that's the trading stuff. Paul and I have both been instrumental in AMEC, which was is the professional global body. We've both been on the board. I was its chair for 6 years and led on its development of the integrated evaluation framework, if you've come across that, which has become sort of global best practice. I'm very conscious I've sort of talked a lot over what Paul might say, so I'll shut up. Paul, does anything you want to
I'm
add?
not sure I need to add a huge amount to that because we have been working together for so long. I think it's probably worth just saying that Richard and I are quite different and have very complementary skills, which I think is one of the reasons why, well, one, we've worked together for so long, but secondly, we were quite successful in developing these measurement businesses. So, I mean, Richard said his background is in PR. My background is very much not in PR. So I'm a sort of background is in science. So I did physics at university, which both my parents did. My son is now doing, so it's clearly genetic. And then accidentally fell into the PR industry. And the natural thing was, let's count things. So it was trying to apply that sort of scientific method, which in the early 90s, there wasn't a lot of sort of rigor around how you'd measure communications. And so it's been very interesting to see that whole discipline grow up from effectively nothing to now being an absolute must-have, need to have, and there's recognized best practice around it. So yeah, that's a little bit about how our similarities and our differences.
Yeah, so that's us. So yeah, so we do a bit of training for the PRCA when people express interest in the evaluation side of stuff. So we've got broad experience, across all those years. Obviously, we've worked for millions of well, not millions, but hundreds of different organizations, ranging from the world's very biggest sort of banks and tech companies to charities, academics, the whole shebang. I mean, our experience of working with advising clients to measure their work in a meaningful way is broad and wide and deep. not shallow and wide, it's deep and wide. So that's us. So and I sit on the GCS, the Government Cabinet Office Evaluation Council, as well. So I help them with not the politicians, but the civil servants, make sure that they're actually delivering value in terms of the communications activities for the public, which of course is their priority, although it might not always seem like it, but that is what they're trying to do. So that's hopefully given you a bit of background about us and reassurance that we know what we're talking about and we'll be able to help you.
Very, very like touching on almost everything. Yes. Sounds like there's not really much in PR evaluation you guys haven't done.
No,
I'm sure there's quite a lot. We're just not aware of it.
I was going to say we've written some books on it as well. So there you go. We haven't written the book, but we've written chapters in books on it. We tend to write the evaluation chapter in the book. Surprise, surprise. We're just actually working on one at the moment, which is being written by a community of practice, which is all about how AI is changing everything. So of course that's the new buzz. So what does that mean for measurement, evaluation, etc. So watch that space, published by Kogan Page later.
That sounds very interesting.
As long as it's not out of date.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the fact that it's a book suggests that it's going to be out of date the moment it's published.
Yeah, I mean, it's the AI space. I could talk about that for a long time. I have all sorts of feelings that don't agree with each other about AI.
Oh, come on, let's hear some of them, Kate.
I genuinely believe that a lot of the AI companies are on their way to collapse. So I don't know what that's going to do to.
Oh, you're in my world. Yes, I'm watching out for this. Yes, whether it's actually sustainable or not.
Yes,
are you talking financial collapse or quality collapse?
Financial collapse, but possibly a bit of. I mean, they seem to have figured out the quality collapse problem. They don't seem to be training on synthetic data anymore to sort of stop that. But yet the financial situation seems to be pretty pretty dire, and Microsoft dialing back its investment in data centers doesn't seem to be a good sign for all of that.
No, there's always sort of
Endless
hints, aren't there?
growth.
And I love just the basic economics, which is most technology revolutions. The more you scale, the cheaper it gets, and so therefore the more money you make. Whereas this is the opposite. The more,
Yeah.
the more you do it, the more compute it
The more
costs, the more
expensive
energy
it
it costs,
gets,
the
yeah.
more expensive it gets. Yeah.
And the fact that OpenAI isn't making any money on its $200 a month subscriptions, like not making money overall, but those specific subscriptions still aren't.
Yes, it's
Still
losing
on.
money on actual paying customers. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
apparently he
so,
just made
yeah.
the prices up. Anyway, and then I was listening to a podcast with him the other day, and he said, "I just made the prices up. So I started at 20, and I was like, I want to do that one at 200 then." I think he's talking about another sub at $2,000, isn't he, coming for an AI agent or something? But I don't think that will make money either. So
I don't, yeah, the thing is, I do see the value in the actual tools themselves on some levels. So I find them very useful. I mean, for something directly relevant to what we're talking about, taking a very general KPI and turning it into something that is measurable. And, you know, here's sort of what I want to achieve. Can you turn these into smart KPIs that are measurable and time bound? It's quite useful for doing that thinking, or at least getting you some of the way there. But and I have huge problems with people using it for end product PR content.
within your team,
Generally, but I am having to have a few words with people on my team at the moment about not doing it because I can spot it a mile away.
yeah, you could. Well, the one that gets me the most is on LinkedIn when people do some really crappy post on LinkedIn, you know, and it goes, "Let's all pull together at the end and march to the future" or something. You're like, oh no, turn ChatGPT off.
Yeah.
And then choose generic AI generated image as well.
Yeah.
Sporadically, it's about really strange use of emojis as well.
Yes.
That's always a teller for me.
Yes. Yes.
You using emojis as punctuation? That's not a human thing to do.
Well, also, I mean, I can't work out in LinkedIn how to get those emojis unless you use a generative AI to write your content for you. I mean, if I try and add an emoji, the only one I think I can find is a smiley face. And that just shows me as some old raver from the late 80s, you know. So tell us about your role and your team.
Absolutely. So Oxford's got quite a detailed structure. So the university itself is split into colleges and departments, and colleges sort of are where students live and where they get their pastoral care and where a lot of the teaching is done. And on the other side, you've got the academic departments that sort of do the research, do the teaching, have all of the specialist knowledge within them. I sit in the side of the university that's on the academic department side, and I'm the head of communications for one of the 4 academic divisions. So the departments are sort of grouped up. And I'm the head of communications for the social sciences group of departments, which is 15 different departments. As part of that, I also run an internal communications agency, which we call a shared service, which 3 of the departments buy into, plus the divisional office, plus a couple of other groups. So we essentially, we act as an internal comms agency. People can buy in. We have a team of 8 at the moment, and we can scale up. We have the freedom to scale up if more people buy in. We're not really, so I took over this team about 18 months ago. It's not got your classic agency structure. It's sort of a halfway house between agency and in-house, in that it has sort of joint leadership, joint digital communication support, which is a team of 3, and one person who does internal comms support for everybody, but each of the different departments, each of the clients has a single comms officer who is devoted to them. So it's not your classic agency model where you've got clients that are just divvied out among the whole team. We've got part-time people working for each of the specific department clients that we're working with.
Okay, that makes sense.
My task when I came in about 18 months ago was to get it functioning better as an agency. My background is I was at comms agencies for over a decade. I was on the management board of a company here in Oxford called Blue Communications. It's done a lot of expansion over the last couple of years, so they might be on your radar.
Did you say blue or glue? Blue or glue?
Blue the colour.
Yeah.
They're in the PRCA top 150, I think. So
The PR Week.
yes, yeah.
It's an interesting name. Was it? So I haven't come across Blue, but was it called Blue because of the disc analysis or anything? Do you know what the reason it was called Blue?
It's boringly called Blue because it's
Oxford
a maritime agency. So it works entirely with the maritime and shipping industry. And it's since expanded into energy, I think now. But back when I was on the board, it was all shipping, all maritime. So it was blue for the ocean.
Were you ever in a competitive pitching situation against Red Consultancy?
Or Pretty Green, there's an agency called that. So there you go.
Yes.
I like the creative use of the E. You know, the 3 lines is the drop-down menu.
Yeah,
That's what
their
they've
new
got
logo is really great, actually.
Yeah.
I do keep in touch with them.
Oh, actually, there is. Having said that, that should be the drop-down menu bit, but it isn't. It's just on the logo. But that would have been really good, because it's the same icon that drops the menu. Anyway.
Yeah, back when I worked there, the logo was a little ripple. It's a little like target. So I was on their management board, and then I moved over to the university to head up comms for one of the departments 8 years ago, I think 7 or 8 years ago. And I've been at the university ever since. So when this opportunity came up to run an internal comms agency, keep doing the sort of good work for the university that I have been doing, plus make a functioning, basically run your own comms agency without having to put down the money to do it. I sort of jumped at the opportunity. So I spent the last year really building our processes, sort of particularly focused on the front end, the strategy development, the comms planning, making sure we're delivering the right stuff there. We do have existing measurement and reporting, but we are, it's very old school. It's very number go up. It's heavily based on like social analytics, Google Analytics, that sort of thing. And I don't think we really measure against KPIs at the moment. Part of what I'm tasked with doing is I have quite a generous training budget within my team to basically upskill us, and my goal is to make us the best comms team in the university. And obviously we can't do that if we're not proving the point that we are doing the best possible work and all of that sort of stuff. So I sort of wanted to focus because we're based in the university system, I do one sort of big training session per term. And this term, I thought it'd be great to start tackling that measurement evaluation issue, get people thinking about it properly. I do particularly want to think about qualitative evaluation as much as quantitative, because I think the tools are there for the quantitative evaluation. I just don't think we're necessarily thinking about the qualitative side as much as we should be. In terms of tools, we have a Cision seat at the moment, but we don't necessarily have control over how we receive data through that, because that's managed centrally. But we do have Cision data.
And do you know which of the many different Cision platforms that is? Is it Cision 1?
Log in.
The reason I asked the question is that I used to be at Cision, and Cision bought lots of companies, one of which was the company that Richard and I was running. But the problem is they never really integrated them. So you ended up with about 5 or 6 different platforms.
2 of which were, because I had
Oh,
Prime
sorry, I
Research.
forgot Prime as well, yes.
Let's find Cision. Oh yes, because we don't want everyone logging into Cision. Cision's managed by my digital comms manager, because we could only afford 1 seat.
Right.
We're saying it's, you know, you sort of see University of Oxford and you think you've got all sorts of tools and all sorts of finances available to you, but because of the very devolved structure of the university, everyone's sort of going their own way, which is why the shared service is working well for us, in that we can bundle funds together from, you know, the 5 different clients, and we can afford Hootsuite for the team, we can afford a decent Canva subscription, we can get Adobe Creative Suite, got stock images, and we've got this seat on Cision as well. But tools and resources are at an absolute premium. Everyone's under a lot of pressure to cut budgets basically to the bone. So we're sort of getting away with it at the moment because of the client model that we use, where they all pay in and basically pay a percentage of us being able to access these tools. So
Nice to hear that even in an environment where budgets are under such pressure, that you did say, but we have a generous training budget, so they're not trying to squeeze that, because often training is the first thing that goes in any organization.
Well, the one good thing is we're on a 3-year cycle, so all of the budgets were agreed a year and a half ago, and we have another 18 months. And yeah, I will push to keep the training budget, because, you know, we have to stay up to date with the latest stuff, because otherwise we're not going to be doing the best quality stuff.
Well, the world's moving so fast, isn't it? And, you know, you said you were lucky to have this selection of tools. I think I wrote them down. You got Cision, you got Hootsuite, you got Canva, Adobe Creative, and stock images. That's not an outrageous, you know, for a comms team, that's not an outrageous. And you got 1 seat on each of them. It's not like you got sort of multiple seats. That's not, you know, you're not really pushing the pace out. That's fair. You know,
we've got 5 seats on Canva, and I think 10 on Hootsuite. So those ones we're doing better with. It's Cision's just very expensive.
Yeah, they would be cheaper if you bullied them, I should think. So says 2 ex-employees. So maybe a bit more bullying.
I don't really get any control over it, because we buy our seat from the central account. So we have 1 seat on the central universities.
And that's the one that the whole university use?
It's the one that the this is where we come down to the very complicated nature of the university. It's the one that the Central Public Affairs Directorate uses.
Right.
So I know there are other Cision subscriptions in other parts of the university as well, but we have a seat on the one which is used by the sort of central comms team.
And the Hootsuite platform, are you using that for scheduling and managing content, or are you using it to monitor and measure it, or both?
Scheduling, yes, all of the above.
Okay, interesting, because obviously Cision owns Brandwatch, so, you know, I'm not sure whether Brandwatch's scheduling and management is as good as its monitoring and measurement is, but there might be a saving there. But I appreciate it's from a different department.
So can I ask a question about where the data from those tools goes? So, for example, are you producing some kind of reporting to, I guess, your internal clients? And what does that, if you are, what does that look like? And is that,
I-
how does that work? Does it tend to be on a sort of campaign by campaign basis, or is it more sort of systematic and you're looking at like monthly or quarterly or something like that?
It is more systematic. I'm just trying to pull up an example for you. Sorry, our SharePoint is so slow today. So yeah, it's sort of time bound. We do sort of ad hoc bits of reporting after the end of specific programs have finished, but that's things like we recently did a seminar series for a department, and the things we're reporting against are like how many eyes did we get on the invite, how many people sort of converted to attendees, and then how many registrations and how many of those converted to attendees. So like I say, it's all very number go up. And I've been out of the agency game for a while, so it's not something I'm sort of a fay with the sort of latest thinking of, honestly. SharePoint.
It's good, isn't it, that in 2025 we're still going, oh, my computer's going slow today, and yet we're also talking about mass AI. You know.
Yeah, but we were
Well,
also talking about mass AI going very slowly and costing a lot of money as well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the SharePoint. Sometimes it plays up,
know.
basically. Sorry, you can tell that I delegate a lot of this to my to my digital comms manager. If we keep talking, I will try and find it at some point.
Well, with the reporting, would you be willing to share that with us in advance of us coming and doing the training? Because I think that'd be useful.
Yeah, definitely. Send us some
And
examples.
another thing, just to sort of hang a hat on with the reporting, is how much of that is also linked to more strategic stuff. So in other words, work around, here's a program we're doing for a department. We've actually done a comms plan for it. We've got objectives around that comms plan. We know which audience we're talking about. We know which activity we're doing, all of that kind of stuff. How much of the reporting is then sort of linked back to that initial strategy, or is it a sort of counts and amounts? Siri's trying to interrupt me. Speaking of technology.
Paul's watch started speaking to him.
I know.
I can show you a report.
Well done.
I was looking in the wrong place, naturally.
Okay.
So this is one of our clients. We do a monthly report for them. I think one client we do a monthly report, the other two ask for a termly report. So we only produce 3 reports a year for them. It's fairly standard social media reporting. Change against the previous months. Are we doing better? Are we doing worse?
Yeah. I see your point. It's a lot of data points chucked at the wall, isn't it?
Yes.
I guess that was the point of my question.
Marina hasn't done her
the
job.
context of this in relation to what the objective was. I mean, how much of that is happening?
Yeah, we haven't. So this is part of the sort of process that I'm sort of. It is a big mental shift that I'm trying to push people through, and we're not there yet. I've got to the point where we have strategy documents. Some have been in place for over a year, some are newer. But before I arrived 18 months ago, none of the clients had a comm strategy, basically.
Right.
So we're basically teaching as we go.
Yeah.
Why isn't this document opening?
Well, weirdly, we've all slowed down. I don't know whether what you're doing has done something odd to Teams, or whether
Maybe
Microsoft's
Microsoft's just on a go.
yeah.
So here we go. I've just been fishing around for the comms strategy. So we do have overarching objectives that we're working towards. And these are not good KPIs. I am aware of that. But they're what I could get the client to as a first step into actually setting comms objectives, and not just saying we want video, we want a new website, we want this, we want an annual report with a big hat on it, and then 12 people download it over the course of a year, because there's nothing associated with it.
Yeah.
So we are
And
starting from
you can
a
see
low
where the need
baseline.
for more qualitative information comes in when you're saying things like showcase departmental excellence across some specific areas, because that's, if you're just saying, look, here is the volume of coverage and this is the engagement, you're not necessarily saying, but how successful have we been in these areas that we want to actually
Yes.
showcase.
Yeah, and stuff like, presumably prospective students, when we put this strategy in place and started work on it, they are going to be new students. They're going to be freshers as of September next year. So can we go and talk to them about what made them choose the department and the course, and understand if the work we did shifted the dial, or whether more work needs to be done, basically.
Who put that report we've just seen together? Is it like 2 or 3 people sort of shared it out? I saw obviously Marina hadn't done her bit, but how does that? What's the process to make that document?
So yes, so as you've seen, we report on sort of 2 things. This is more of an action. Here's what we have done this month, so that you can see that we are doing stuff. And that is done by the sort of comms lead for that department. So that's sort of standalone person who is responsible for them. And then all of the digital information that they've requested is put together by the digital team. So that's usually a team of 2 for each client, the digital comms manager plus whichever assistant is allocated to that client.
There's a somewhat surprising numbers here, aren't there? Just even as you're shooting through it, like, well, at LinkedIn, we had 90, well, we've got 97 followers. It's down 41. 41 out of 97, or 41 out of 140 have unfollowed in a month. That, I mean.
Oh, I think this is new followers. So I think we've had
Right.
97 new followers over the last month, but I think that means that in November there were
right
130 odd.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Because I'm pretty sure they've got several thousand LinkedIn followers.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
I should imagine a lot of this is seasonal as well, so there'll be peaks.
December's always a bad month. Yeah.
So in other words, if you compare it to the previous month, there's always going to be one where it looks terrible, but then how does it compare against the previous year? There's all that kind of thinking that needs to go into this.
Yes. Yeah. And as I say, I haven't really touched these reports at all since I walked through the door. These are the sort of the last thing for me to get, because I'm less confident with it, honestly. The last time I was putting together client evaluation reports, we were still fighting about ABE.
Oh, don't worry, we still are.
You're not. You're kidding me.
No, we're not. But it's called the zombie metric that refuses to die. So it pops its ugly head up out of its grave from time to time. We're not fighting about
it's
it.
Like goes over here and then it suddenly appears over here.
Yeah. And it comes out as some new SaaS business will say, oh, this isn't an AVE, this is a equivalent advertising value for online. It's our brilliant new metric. And PR Week will write about it because they think, anyway, whatever, let's move on. Yeah.
But
Well, we
yeah,
could definitely help
that's
you.
where I was. And
Yeah.
you know, I think the last software I used to measure this sort of thing was Yellow Media. Do you guys remember them?
Yes, it was Precise. Precise is cheap, low cost service.
Yes.
Yellow News, it was called.
Yellow News. Yeah, that
We
was
we
the last.
Beautifully
hired
marketed.
we hired the guy that ran Yellow News in our last business.
And then that bought something out, or that got bought
No,
out by
it got bought by Kantar.
Kantar. That's right.
And then
Yeah.
Kantar got sold to Allclusive, and so that's now Allclusive. And then Allclusive got hacked and went down for 3 months last year, much to everyone's chagrin, with a ransom attack. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, so that tells you how out of date my knowledge is, really. And you know,
But,
I'm in the same boat as the team, that this
But
team
Kate-
has a generous training budget, and I haven't had a generous training budget up until the last 18 months. So
Okay, I think, just from what I've seen already, you've brought some proper thinking to the planning and the objectives. You've got some measurement, but the measurement's not linked very well to the planning objectives. The measurement's got loads of metrics. I mean, if you actually compared it to a lot of things that we see, it's got lots of metrics. It's got some good logic. I like that. I mean, also I can't see your whole screen, but it said begun. You said it starts with what, activity that we've done. There's some logic in the thinking here. What I think it needs is just to be joined together and thought through, and you need better storytelling, and you need an element of, as you've said, you didn't need us to say it, but more qualitative information in there as well. And how do you thread this through into something meaningful? So yeah.
So yeah, I think this comes down to what I'm looking for the team training is to get the whole team thinking together about this. So
And when
we've
you
got
say
the
the whole
digital
team, would it be your internal team of 8, or would it be some of the departmental
the
leads
internal
as well?
team of 8? So the people that we work with out in the departments, they are the academic and operational heads of the department. So basically the CEO and the COO directly. So none of the departments we work with have existing comms. We've taken on the role of comms, and so they don't have to have it anymore.
Right.
So an element is going to be talking to them about the changes, but what I want to do with the training is really get everyone thinking together about how do I get my comms officers setting good objectives so that the digital team can measure them at the end, and we can all work together on it, and thinking about it the whole way through. And I just, it could be, something we could just sort of throw together and spend a few days working on ourselves. But I think there's something so motivating about having an external training session. And, I think it really gets people's juices flowing in a way that just going, we need to sort this out, doesn't.
Yeah. So it's probably worth just thinking about how we would, and we'll take some time to think about the structure, but let's at least start getting the ball rolling on this. So we're talking half a day, is that right? So we'll say plan a 3-hour session.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then there's how you structure those 3 hours. So I think then it's how much of a blend is there between Richard and me talking through this is best practice in the industry and this is how it works and here are some examples, versus more of a workshop idea where you take some existing bit of work that you're currently doing and then think through how that could potentially improve in time. I think that depends on the audience and where they are in their own journey on this, on how much of a emphasis you want to put on the first rather than the latter. But that'd be interesting to get your view on that balance.
I think I'm keen to lean it a bit more towards best practice, just because. So I'm going to set aside a full day for this with the team, So what we did last year was we had a half-day session in the morning, and then we came back in the afternoon after lunch and sort of talked through, great, now we've done all that, how are we going to apply it to the... So I think kickstarting that with a bit of workshopping would be great.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a really good idea. Just you've got people focused. You can do it in 2 separate sessions, and then you can take your time in the afternoon to go through it. So I think that helps us set it up.
Can I just pause you a sec, Paul? Just on that thought, Kate, which I echo what Paul's saying. I also think that's a really good idea, but because we're not a templated training people, and we don't have stuff like, you're just going to get this module, that module, and the other module. Would you have any interest, appetite, and ultimately, I guess, budget? Would you want us to stay for the second half to join you in those workshops and help? And it's not me trying to sell something, it's just a thought, is because I think we're also both thinking we'll come to Oxford. I don't know what you're thinking, but if you're going to be in person, we're very happy to actually come and be there. If you wanted us to stay and be available to join you in that workshop part, we could as well, but obviously that's not what's being quoted for, but it's just a thought, so I just wanted to float that.
I would think that would be great. I suspect that is more than we can stretch to, because as I say, I try and do 3 sets of training and then personalized training throughout the year. So I think while it's sort of generous, I don't know that it's quite generous enough to stretch to that, as wonderful as it would be to have you.
Okay, well, I just floated out there anyway, but yes, so back to sort of plan A then. So you do them with us.
Just picking up on the Richard's point about sort of logistics of sort of being in the room and stuff. So I think a learning we had when we did this training with the Thames Valley Police is we did it as, how many did we do? 4 half-day sessions. So the team was big enough that we split them into 4 groups, and we did it as 4 3-hour sessions. Some people were in the room and some people joined on a call. From that experience and from other experiences about how I think people that are in the room get much more value out of it than dialing in. So if at all possible, my recommendation or our recommendation would be, if we can all get together in a room, it would be better.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't do any hybrid training. I think it doesn't, I think it either has to be all online or all in the room. And I'm looking to do this all in the room and get everyone together, because we don't get a chance to get together super often anyway, because we are a very hybrid team. So it's a chance for us to sort of spend some time together as well.
And especially if in the afternoon you're going to get everyone together and workshop through, how would you take this on board? Yeah, I think that absolutely makes sense. Have we picked a date yet?
No, we haven't.
We
haven't talked about dates.
And can we park? I remember how difficult it is to park in Oxford.
Parking in Oxford isn't great. We are not far from a car park, so we can cover your parking for the day if you add that to the travel expenses.
Okay.
So it's the Gloucester Green car park. It's right near the station. Is where I'd recommend. Just across the road from us.
Yeah.
Do we want to pick a date now?
We can have a look at some dates. Yeah.
Do we have a look? Where are we now? 13th today.
So ideally, I'd like to do a Wednesday or a Monday, probably with a preference for a Wednesday, if that works for you guys.
I'm sure we can make that work. How much notice do you need to get your team together?
Well, I need it to be after the, I'm clicking the wrong place on the calendar. I need it to be after the 4th of April anyway, so we have some time.
We say Wednesday the 9th?
Wednesday the 9th? Yeah,
That's
we can
do
that.
That's the first Wednesday after it. Paul, how's that look for you?
That'll be fine. Just flagging that I am away that week before.
It's
Easter,
isn't it? Coming around soon around there.
Well, if you're away, Kate, then let's look for better.
So
yes, Easter's the end of the week after, Paul. So there's Wednesday
Yeah.
the 16th, which is 2 days before Good Friday.
I'm probably we are looking at going on holiday that week.
Okay.
As in the week
So-
before, the week leading up to Easter weekend.
Yes. So that's not going to work for you. So
23rd.
Wednesday the 23rd is fine. My son's birthday party on the 22nd, but that's okay. Doesn't affect things.
I'd be happy to say 23rd if that works for you guys.
Yeah, that looks okay.
Yep, sold.
Cool.
I'll just put placeholder in our diary.
Yeah.
Excellent. I've got a new member joining my team on the 22nd, so that'll be a nice start for her as well.
Perfect.
Or a terrible start for her,
Or a terrible start.
depending on her personality.
And is there anything that would be useful for me to sort of share with you guys
Yes.
while you're planning?
So
you want our
definitely
documents
any
or-
examples of reporting like we were just looking at.
Send a few of them through.
And anything that you got on, I mean, you said that there isn't tend to be much comms planning, but I think anything like the example you showed us as well, just some examples of that would be good as well.
Well, I think I misheard you because I thought you said that what you had brought comms planning in and that you had plans and strategy in place.
Yeah, we've got strategies for everyone, and I think at least a few sort of discrete comms plans that have been written for specific campaigns.
So if you could send us more is better than less. So
Yeah.
send a few
Okay.
over. That would be useful. And
Oh, I'll tell you what as well, it'd be useful just to get a list of the team members, the 8 team members. And
Can do that,
if you've got
yes.
time, just a very brief sort of what their main roles are.
yes, presumably they're sort of frontline communicators. So when Paul mentioned about the police and this sort of massive team they've got and the 4 cohorts we did, I mean, some of the team were things like digital video production engineer and stuff. So some of it isn't that relevant to their role. Whereas I'm thinking with your team, all of them are more likely to find this relevant to their role.
It's going to be directly relevant to every single member
Yeah.
of the team.
Okay.
In some respect.
Yeah. Okay.
And you also mentioned that you've got some specific specialities on the digital comm side, but also on the internal comm side.
Yes, so we've got an internal comms officer who has a lovely job title, and unfortunately spends almost all of her day putting together and sending out newsletters on a Destra. So she's really trying to upskill and move into that sort of bigger picture. She does do sort of annual reports over the summer. I'll see if I can get some of those from last year. About sort of open rates, what's driving interest internally and stuff like that.
So
But
the internal request feels to, if you look at what has been happening, so what's obviously been pacifying the internal request so far has been very much sort of auditing counts and amounts, as you called it, tactical counting of what we've done and what's happening. How much ambition is there for insight and information that feeds planning against how much ambition is there for better storytelling of what we've done and why we've done it?
To internal clients.
To internal
Yeah.
clients,
Yes, and how much are you driving and how much are internal clients driving of this?
and internal clients are driving 0% of this.
So,
You know,
so
they are not used to receiving reports at all, basically, from the olden days when they were working with just a comms officer who sat there and went, yes, I'm doing a good job. great, keep up the good work. My ambition is that we are doing evaluation as our team to help us be the best comms team that we can be, and actually get insights and do things better next time, or choose the channels better, that sort of thing. I really see the evaluation side of things and the reporting side to be, clients will see it as a nice to have. If we can improve the storytelling, that can only be great for us in terms of like building and growing the team. But primarily, I think we're pulling together these reports because we feel like we should, and then we're not really using them. I want something quite useful. I think we should be developing something that's actually useful for us to know if we're doing what we need to do, and if we're not, how can we change things so that we are doing what we need to do.
You mentioned that budgets are tight and that you're under pressure to cut costs, and presumably that includes the budget that funds the comms department. Who sets that, and do they think comms is giving them value, and how do they understand that at the moment?
So I'm actually in a really good position to talk about this because I just did my own little evaluation with the clients. So the budget is determined by how much comms they say they want to do, basically. So hold on, I will get up my boring little explainer of how we function. So we are essentially, we do not have a comms budget. We are funded much like an external agency, or we are funded on client income. So
does that mean individual departments will set aside a certain amount of budget, and that will then go towards your internal team?
They tell us what they need to achieve, and we help them come up with the sort of team that we think they need. So here's an example. We think you probably need not quite a full-time comms lead, but you definitely need to buy into internal comms, and you need to buy into digital comms. And then we'll put them together a quote based on that. And then so we add that total FTE together, and using that we do percentages of what they need to pay into the sort of central kitty, which is the tools, the resources, the desk space, the computers, and that sort of stuff.
But the funds ultimately coming from them.
Yes.
And so I guess the question is, what's the decision-making process to decide what that amount is, other than you saying this is what you would need?
So it's a little bit of a fait accompli. I don't know. I haven't actually been through that process yet, because as I say, we're on a 3-year buy-in. So in next academic year, so from September, I'll be working with the departments to figure out either an ongoing buy-in or the next 3-year cycle. And a part of that will be going, okay, well, if you don't have as much money to put in, you're going to have a little bit less resource, which means you're going to have to scale back. So it's fully a negotiation to do with like, well, if you want to do more comms, you're going to have to pay more. If you want to do less, if you want to pay less, you're going to get less.
But to Richard's point, isn't there's you want to do more comms, but then there's also the rationale for doing more comms, which is then comes down to, is there an education opportunity around the actual benefits of doing comms and the broader value that that's bringing?
Case study almost, saying, look, if you did a bit more, look what you could have.
There is, I think fundamentally they're all at the point where they want to be doing more. I don't know that. So it's quite an interesting thing, because even though we work with the sort of COO and the CEO directly, they are not necessarily leading the charge on the actual comms that we do. We lead the charge on sort of the big strategic polls, but almost all of them also have an element of communicating research out of the departments. And that is very led by the next level down, which is the senior academics that come to us and go, look, here's a brilliant paper, look, here's a brilliant paper, look, here's a brilliant paper. So we don't need to sell them on doing more, because we've got this constant demand from academics to be doing press releases and news stories and shouting and videos and shouting about the work that they're doing.
So interesting. So we used to do some work for the University of Cardiff, which was actually coincidental because that's where I live, but it just happened to be one of Susan's clients. So because it was Cardiff, I joined those meetings. But it was a very similar setup, which is there was a central comms team who felt that their customers were individual departments. But then there was this very strong sense of competition between the departments and actually within the academics, especially ones that were more sort of media savvy and wanting to talk about their research. So I wonder if there is an angle there around how this then plays out to how the departments feel about themselves in relation to other departments, but also how the academics then sort of fit into that.
I mean, if we can, I don't think we do any reporting at the moment on like specific press releases and specific news stories. I think if we were sort of had a way to do a fairly light touch report for every academic who brought us a news story, then you'd start seeing the real internal push for like, they said they don't have capacity to help me with this, but I want what he's got.
Exactly. As soon as one person gets, then everyone else will want it as well. Yes,
in your newsletter. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's good, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm conscious we're at the top of the hour. I think, in terms of sending us stuff, and Richard's right, the more the merrier, right? And I think, even if you think I'm not sure about this, then we'll take the time to look through it. I think it's all very useful context. And thank you for the helping us think about structuring the day, because it also helps with the context that you're going to have an afternoon on this. So we need to set up that afternoon for you.
Brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll look forward to the date that we've got. We will possibly be in touch beforehand. We've got your email address, so you can't go too far. You said you couldn't do before a date. Is there a reason? Is it because you're going away, or you're not going to be in contact?
I'm going away first week of April, so
nice.
Somewhere
nice.
I think it's probably a bit tight to do it before the end of March.
So you going somewhere nice?
I'm going to Crete.
Oh, good.
Ooh,
I've never been to Greece or any of the islands before.
Well,
no. That was the worst.
Have you got another hour? I love Greece.
Richard's obsessed with the Greek.
Oh, really?
I've been to many Greek islands. The only thing I would say to you about Crete in that time, it's fantastic time. You get lovely weather, but the sea will be chilly. So don't think you're going to spend all your time in the sea. And if you go, I only went to one place in Crete, but it was on the sea side, and it was quite windy, and that wind can be a little bit chilly as well. So
I think we're hoping to do a fair bit of like walking and seeing the monuments and stuff, that it might be like a bit of a killer to do in 40-degree weather.
Well, now you got us both interested, because I did Greek architecture as part of my degree many years ago, but Paul loves Greek architecture too, and Greek mythology. So if you want us to wax lyrical about those aspects of Greece, we can. But it sounds like you have a fantastic time. Don't Michael Mosley though if you go walking in the midday sun.
Yes, yeah. Another reason I think we'd like to be going where it's going to be like 20 degrees and not 40 degrees.
Exactly.
Yes.
Good. Well, we look forward to hearing all about it, and enjoy the amazing food. Do try all the different things. I love Greek food. It's so good.
I love Greek food. It's one of my dad's favorites. Every time we went to London, we had to go to this like weird little hole in the wall Greek restaurant that was like his favorite place in the world.
So make sure you go to the tavernas are fantastic. The more sort of grotty it looks, the better it is almost. You don't feel tempted to go to the posh looking places.
A good tip. I will
Yeah.
take that one on board. Yeah, we're not afraid to sort of get stuck in, so I'm sure we'll find some fun
And
stuff.
Greek wine, by the way, when I first went to Greece was at the end of my degree in a long time ago. I won't tell you when, in the 1980s anyway. And Greek wine then was appalling. It was Retsina and it was sort of like known as being awful. Greek wine now is fantastic. Loads of different whites, reds, Cretan wine is good. And the food on Crete is quite specific from the rest of Greece. So they had their own specialities and stuff. So yeah, they'll be very proud about that. And their own olive oil, they'll be flogging to you. But you'll love it. It'll be great. I'm very
No,
jealous.
I'm really excited. It's yeah, it's nice to go somewhere different. I think
Yeah.
we got stuck in a rut of keep going to the same places. So
Paul shared a podcast with me this morning, and that's what he was talking about. Paul, do you remember? As we get older, we want to go to the same place. He was saying
Yes, we stop experimenting.
we stop
Yeah.
experimenting.
well, a couple of years ago, one of my not even a couple, several years ago, one of my very good friends moved to Madrid.
Oh, lovely.
So we've been spending a lot of our holidays going to Madrid, which is
Madrid's
great.
fantastic.
I love Madrid. Madrid is brilliant, but we keep. Yes, it's nice to keep going to see her, but you keep using it for the same.
Yes. Well, have a great holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today. It's been really nice
Yes.
chatting to you and getting to know you and about the team. So do send us that organogram as well then. Yeah, and we're really looking forward to it. And thank you for choosing us.
Brilliant. I'm really excited. And yeah, if you go away for Easter, I hope you have a lovely time as well. It sounds like it's still in the planning.
Well, I am going to Greece in the summer. I didn't tell you that, but
Wonderful.
I'm off to the mainland. Yeah, but I'll tell you all about that.
Yes,
another
do.
time.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Thank you both.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.